everybody, and welcome back to another video tutorial. In this video tutorial I'll show you how to create and sew a double welt pocket. This tutorial is for a double welt pocket that is about 6.5 inches in length and 6 inches wide. For this tutorial you will need a main body piece of fashion fabric, an interfacing big enough to reinforce and strengthen the back of your fashion fabric where the pocket will be sitting. A strip that will be divided into two to create 2 welt pieces, and an interfacing to go along with that. And finally, a pocket bag. You can make your pocket bag a 1-piece or 2-piece. For this tutorial, I'm making my pocket bag a 1-piece because it's just easier and faster. To start, turn the welt strip onto the wrong side and apply the interfacing. Divide the welt strip into 2, making each welt length 1 inch long and width 7 inches wide. Fold each welt and press. On the 2 welt pieces, draw a stitch line that is a 1/4 inch from the raw edges. Mark a 1/2 inch seam allowance on both ends of the welt pieces. Turn the fabric onto the wrong side and apply the interfacing to reinforce and strengthen the area where the pocket opening will be. Next, draw a horizontal line that is 6 inches wide across the main fabric where you want your pocket opening to be. Then draw a vertical line centered on both ends of the horizontal line that is about 2 inches long or long enough to cover the 2 welt pieces. The vertical lines will serve as a guide to align the welt pieces. The purpose of this tutorial, I'm working with a pencil, but if you're working with your real fashion fabric, you should use a tailor's chalk because a tailor's chalk easily erases with the steam from the iron. Next, place the welt pieces' raw edges on the line like so, making sure that the cross line on both ends of the welt pieces align with the 2 cross lines on the end of the horizontal line. And sew along the stitch line on the welt pieces to attach it to the main fabric. With the cross mark on the welt piece aligned with the vertical line on the fabric and the raw edge of the welt aligned with the horizontal line on the fabric, sew along the line on the welt to attach it to the fabric main piece. Lower your machine needle into the cross mark point on the welt and sew. And remember to backstitch to secure your welt in place. Sew to the other end of the cross mark but not beyond. Repeat the same process to attach the second welt piece to the main fabric. Next, flip your garment onto the wrong side and cut out any excess threading. With that done, draw a short vertical line that touches both ends of the two stitch lines. From those two end lines, measure half an inch inward and mark a point in the middle like so. Then draw an inverted triangle on both ends like so. Then use a seam ripper or a sharp object to create a hole along the slit line. Then cut open with a scissors along the slit line up to the triangle point, but not beyond. Place a pin at the triangle points to prevent you from cutting beyond the two triangles. Once you get to the triangle point, cut both sides of the triangle up to the corner and not beyond. Do not cut into the welt pieces. Turn the welt pieces inside onto the wrong side of the fabric. With the welt pieces turned onto the wrong side of the main fabric, iron the welt pieces to lay them flat. Next, pin the welt pieces in place so that the cross line at the end of the welt pieces are aligned. With the main fabric facing upward, the rectangle should be on top of the end of the welt pieces. Attach the rectangle to the end of the welt pieces on one side and do the same for the other side. Now that the triangle has been attached to the seam allowance on the welt pieces, this will prevent the pocket opening from moving out of position. Now flip your garment onto the wrong side to begin the process of attaching the pocket bag. To attach the pocket bag to the garment, start with the bottom welt. Attach one end of the pocket bag to the bottom welt. Attach the pocket bag to the welt with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. If you can, sew on top of the previous stitch that you did to attach the welt onto the main fabric. Remember to backstitch at the beginning of your sewing and at the end of your sewing to prevent your garment from coming loose at the seam. With one end of the pocket bag attached to the garment, turn the pocket bag downward like so and do a top stitch either on the inside or outside of the welt. Top stitching on the inside is called sewing in the ditch, and I will show you how to top stitch both on the inside and outside of the welt. I will demonstrate how to sew on the inside first and show how to top stitch on the outside later on in the tutorial. Now take the other end of the pocket bag and attach it to the top welt. And for the top welt, I'm going to top stitch on the outside of the welt. Here is what top stitching outside of the welt looks like. You can see that the stitches are on the outside rather than on the inside like the previous stitching that we did. My stitches are a little crooked. When constructing your garment, use the same color thread as your garment so that way your stitches will blend into your garment. The next and final thing we're going to do is seal the pocket on both sides. Sew a 1/2 inch seam allowance starting from the top where the welt seam allowance starts all the way to the bottom of the pocket. Repeat this process for the other side of the pocket. You can mark a guideline to ensure that you have a straight stitch. To prevent your pocket bag from fraying around the edges and to give your pocket a clean finish look, use an interlock machine to serge around the edges of your pocket, or you can use a zigzag stitch on your home machine to achieve the same goal. Here is what the back of the welt pocket looks like. And here is what it looks like on the front. Okay everyone, we've come to the end of this tutorial. If I have made the concept of creating and sewing a double welt pocket a little bit easier to understand and helped further your fashion designing experience, please subscribe to my channel, give this video a thumbs up, share and leave your comment down below. Until my next video, good luck.